The Galactic Council's grand chamber was constructed to impress with columns that curled upward like phosphorescent stone. It covered the Leviathan ceiling, which glistened with a soft violet glow. Representatives from more than 60 species occupied the lower tiers, their hover thrones grouped in concentric circles around a large silent stage. A chamber designed to intimidate inferior races and enhance the pride of empires. Mr. Elias Caldwell, Earth's envoy, sat in the middle of that splendor, drinking tea from a delicate porcelain cup as a six-armed Krell Dominion bureaucrat stuttered over the current topic. He adjusted his handcuffs. Caldwell didn't pause. He didn't rely on the 17K asteroid belt mining permits. He just grinned straight ahead, but it was the kind of smile that showed nothing except that the Jarek delegate High Talon had exactly the proper amount of warmth to be courteous, and just enough uncertainty to be misconstrued for innocuous. Across the room, Varys sneered at a tall insectoid covered in ceremonial bone armor. He had continued to smirk ever since the human had taken a seat. "We waste time listening to primitives," Varys buzzed, twitching his jaws. "Their planet isn't even on the inner core chart. They show us spices, artisan cheeses. Mainly from the older empires which had emerged when Earth was still throwing metal cannons into orbit." With a contemplative tilt of his head, Caldwell said, "Well, I dare say we do have good cheese." Swirling his cup, he added, "But no, sir, we bring something much better." Even Varys hesitated before answering. "And what is that?" The laughter paused. Curiosity hovered in the air like smoke. Caldwell's smile widened. The moderator, a gelatinous, mediator species with a faint gasoline flavor and a reputation for impartiality, tapped its employees and coughed uneasily. "Let us move on to the next topic." Yet there was a subtle shift in the room. A current flowed between seats, a few glances between delegations, more circumspect now because they were aware of something, even if they didn't want to acknowledge it. Humans meant something after all. Earth had spread quickly, too quickly. A species that took less than a century to go from digital memes to FTL motivations that implied not only ambition, but perhaps insanity. Caldwell concluded with the ideal amount of ceremony to convey respect. He offered a bow with his tea and rose. "I look forward to tomorrow's talks," he said with just enough disrespect to offend anyone sensitive enough to notice. Putting the empty cup on a tray, one that hadn't been there 30 seconds before, he left, assuming the conversation was over. What followed was not quite terror, but it was the beginning of something like it. The Silver Accord under the twin lights. The transport ship Silver Accord glided across the third moon's polished hull in the new Roth sector. Caldwell stood in the viewing chamber with his hands clasped behind his back, taking in the planetary curve below. He had the exact look one might save for viewing a Monet in a museum. Leora Tan, his young assistant, silently intervened and validated. "Jara Planetary Council transmission authorization. They're expecting you at noon," she said. "General Wren has recognized standby code protocols and passive systems are—" She hesitated. "Sir, are you sure you want to proceed by yourself?" He nodded, and everything was fine. This time he did turn, very carefully. "Miss Tan, there are two kinds of battle, both noisy and silent. And if you want to win both, you have to be prepared to be seen as breakable." She scowled. "That's not in the doctrine." Caldwell smiled faintly, then turned to leave. The Jarek platform. The Jarek platform was made of volcanic glass, illuminated by sulfurous torches and humming crystal obelisks. It was designed with performance and functionality in mind. Caldwell, dressed in a clean ash-gray suit with no armor and no escort, walked off the shuttle as the blade-shaped spire whispered of conquest. Varys was waiting, leaning on a cane that doubled as a data tool. "High Talon human," he rasped, voice damp and smug. "You came with no guards?" "No." Caldwell arched an eyebrow. "I find those who rely on security fields typically don't have much power of their own." Varys cocked his head. "Whether you are courageous or stupid, it's interesting." And then the blow came, swift, without ceremony, without drama. A soldier stepped forward suddenly and drove a plasma pike into Caldwell's chest. For 3 full seconds, nobody said anything. The human tried to smuggle a weapon, Varys stated for the record. We were justified. He said it for history, not for truth. The broadcast was sent to the galactic core within hours. Most empires shrugged. One less diplomat from a species that hadn't earned its place. Earth said nothing. Operation Blackgarden. 3 days later, in a bunker 3 kilometers beneath the south pole of Earth, there were no threats, just silence. A woman in a dark unmarked uniform entered a conference room lit only by red status displays. Her hair was tightly restrained. She spoke patiently, as if explaining chess to a toddler. Biometrics confirmed that Caldwell executed on schedule. Trigger works around other people. Timestamp: 47 hours, 31 minutes, 2 seconds. She straightened. No screams, no rage, just the faint tension of a gun being cocked. Begin stage 1, she said. Operation Blackgarden is active. Jara trade convoys began to disappear. First they blamed pirates, then rogue traders. Then a whole squadron was found adrift. Crews unconscious. Systems inoperable. No signs of brutality. Only a message carved into the flagship's hull. You killed a whisper. The new delegate 6 days after the killing the council discussed, but Earth remained silent. The new human delegate was tall, quiet, and unflinching. Dr. Helena Graves, dressed in gray with little pomp. No retinue. We need to adjust for the delay, she said calmly. It has taken us time. Varys scoffed. Monkeys in suits. Graves smiled. Yes, we are curious, aren't we? Earth laments Mr. Caldwell's passing. He was one of our best. Yet she placed a sealed parcel on the council stage. Our terms are simple. Complete execution investigation, public trial, access to jar logs, and accountability. Varys sneered. If we refuse? She looked at him sadly. I'm disappointed. She continued, calm and unshaken. There will be a delay before we continue. Varys barked. What army? She turned. Oh no, we don't need an army. The awakening ships, not battleships, began to wake. Earth had never claimed to be a warlike power, but cruisers emerged. Smaller, smarter scout fighters disguised as mining drones. IFF satellites came to life. Supply lines were mapped, not yet attacked. Varys's private channel blinked. His intelligence officer paled. Sir, we've lost communication with stations 14 through 22. No distress calls, no trace. Scramble patrol, Varys barked. Sir, the officer whispered. They didn't do this today, they did it days ago. A man returned to Earth and walked into a silent Geneva library. His face looked fresh, his gait had changed, but his eyes remained the same. He sat down, opened a book. The Art of War, annotated in over 30 languages. A toddler passed by, staring. The man smiled. Thin, pointed, just teeth. The final council. The Galactic Council chamber was colder now, not in temperature, in tone. Where the phony warmth of diplomacy had once spilled, now sat silence. Delegates leaned forward just a bit too much, just a bit too tense, because the humans weren't yelling. They were doing something worse. Waiting. Dr. Helena Graves stood, in the center of everything, calm as a cathedral, elegant, subdued. I will be brief, she said, wearing only a single silver pin, a half-blooming rose. Elias Caldwell, our late emissary, was executed without trial, without justification, without defense. She held up a crystalline data shard. We have censor, logs, transcripts, internal Jarek communications, a war crime broadcast for all. The JRK hold no trials for spies, a voice argued. Graves smiled gently. Then you shouldn't host diplomats at gallows. A few rows chuckled, not from allies, from old neutrals, the ones who had survived enough wars to hear the sound of a blade being sharpened. You seek reparation? Graves's smile faded. No, we offered that. You declined. She placed the shard and stepped back. We are not here to plead. Earth has made its final request. The Siluran Archon spoke, smooth and serpentine. And when we reject your terms, Graves replied, then the planet will be disappointed. Even the gelatinous moderator hesitated before bowing. Earth's disappointment, she said softly, tends to be effective. In the arch of voices, Graves walked alone. No data pad, no escort, only her thoughts. Dr. Graves, a voice called out. Ambassador Tren of the Avan race approached, feathers trembling. Is it true that you've reactivated pre-war procedures? She smiled faintly. I'm sure I wouldn't know. Earth remains a peaceful observer. He paused. She added, but we are disappointed. Tren looked at her. What is your end game, human? She tapped her chin. Oh, survival, justice, and if there's time left on the schedule, balance. Tren nodded, voice low with anxious reverence. Your people always took the long road, and now, he swallowed. Now we're remembering. Graves turned, walking into the spiral dark. No, she whispered. This time we're not playing.